I believe that it's important for all of us as Canadians to both individually and as organizations to acknowledge this land, showing recognition and respect for Aboriginal people both in the past and the present. However, this is just a small part of cultivating strong relationships with the First People of Canada. We continue to open pathways for dialogue and reconciliation through our work in these communities. I strongly urge all of you here to continue to learn about truth and reconciliation. We here at AARCS are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture, and we are committed to working together in the spirit of friendship and cultivating authentic and respectful relationships with First Nations. So today I'm honored to introduce you to Casey Eagle Speaker. Casey is a member of the Blackfoot tribe in southern Alberta, which is one of 4 tribes comprising the Blackfoot Confederacy in southern Alberta and Montana. Casey is a well-respected Blackfoot elder and provides a wide array of presentations and workshops in the greater Calgary area and abroad in respect to one's journey to wellness and understanding of identity and belonging. Please join me in welcoming Casey.
Okay, sona ko kutsimiota. It's again now got the 6 Kakun. I am a sorrel horse. That's who my people know me as. My given name is Casey Eagle Speaker, a member of the Blood Tribe, part of Black Confederation. And in doing that, I just to acknowledge that you are on the traditional lands of the Black Confederacy. And that land actually extends from the North Saskatchewan River up in Edmonton, clear down to Yellowstone River in Montana, and where the Rocky Mountain Range meets up with the Kootenay Range, and 63 miles into Saskatchewan past the Cypress Hills. It's the true dimensions of Blackfoot territory, the Blackfoot lands. Within that exists the 4 tribes, Kainai, Siksika, Piikani, as well as the Blackfeet of Montana, South Pagans we call them. It's also the land of Treaty 7, which is from the Red Deer River south to the Montana border, to Saskatchewan border, and up to the Rocky Mountains. And that consists 3 of the tribes, which is Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, Satena, and the Stoney Nakoda people, as well as the Métis people of Region 3 who now make Calgary their home, as well as all other settlers throughout the world. This is where you're at. Calgary is the traditional wintering grounds of our people of the 4 tribes. The 4th tribe that doesn't exist anymore was formerly known, or was known, as the Small Road people. And they lived in the southern mountain ranges of Montana. And that's where they existed, and they were totally wiped out by smallpox. The Blackfeet really are Pagans who were cut when the international borderlines put in place. It cut over half of the Pagan nations south of the border. They took the plural form of Blackfoot and called them Blackfeet. So that's just a little bit. Who we are is important, and we know that under reconciliation, and I'm changing that word. Sean Atlee and I spoke. We're calling it ReconciliACTION. Reconciliation is a lot of table talking. ReconciliACTION, actually doing it. And it's not about decolonization, more about Indigenous inclusion in how we look at this land. Our DNA studies go way back. I know in the Black Confederacy we have DNA studies done on our people that now goes back 19,000 years. So I think we've been kicking around for quite some time. And knowing that Canada is only 151 years old come July, and then you compared that to the thousands of years that the first peoples have been here. So under the Truth and Reconciliation, as well as the United Nations Declaration for Human Rights of Indigenous People, becomes a very vital part of the history of Canada to help mend the broken relationships, the fractured and shattered cultures of Indigenous peoples. There are 623 First Nations across this country. Then you add in the Métis communities and the Inuit and Innu villages and the unceded territories of BC, and you'll realize that we have over 1,000 unique cultural groupings of Indigenous peoples. And that's really important as you travel around this country, start realizing that the pan view or pan terminology of Indigenous people is just acknowledging they are the original people of the land. But who they are becomes something different. In the past, you knew us as Indians, Natives, and Aboriginal people. And in our traditional languages, that does not exist. In Blackfoot, we say Nitsitapiks, real people, human beings. The Dene language have a similar word, which means people of the earth. Crees have the same thing, and so do Ojibwe. Every First Nation people, the original language refers back to the land. And because it is the land that defines the people and the language spoken and the way of life. Our way of life is really connecting to the land. And when it comes down to that, we start realizing, we start looking at animals. Our history goes back, and we're looking at the dog years. Where dogs are very vital to the existence of Indigenous people. We didn't hold them in any sacred value, but we held them in the highest regards because of the responsibility. They became the workhorses of the people, a very close connection with the Indigenous people, and they were well cared for back in the past. So it was important for us because that was part of our transportation mode of moving our camps with trial boys. It was also used to guard against other animals or warnings of enemy or anything that was coming on. So that part of it, our history is really the unknown part of our history, connection to animal life. And we start realizing what we've been missing throughout our years. I think part of that ReconciliACTION is understanding that true relationship that Indigenous people have with the land and all living beings. And it's critical because if we don't understand that relationship to ourselves and the land, then you're only going to live life from the shoulders on up and thinking or under just knowing of what you've learned. To understand how we do ReconciliACTION and Indigenous inclusion is to go to the hard truth of what happened. Because there's nothing wrong with our people. There's nothing wrong with our communities. It's about what happened to us. That's what we start looking at. When you look at the historical issues of Indigenous people, the Human Rights Act of Canada, Article 67, was only removed in 2002, but nothing's been there to replace it. And you can't find Article 67 any further. But it talked about the human rights of a citizen of Canada. All the first 66 articles came out telling you of all your human rights as a citizen of Canada. When it came down to Indigenous people, Article 67 used the old language, said that if you are a half-breed, which we know as a Métis, or an Eskimo, who we now know as an Inuit, or an Indian, then none of the above pertains to you as having human rights within the Dominion of Canada. The United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is critical to our people because we are yet to be recognized as having human rights. There are a lot of detrimental, oppressive, restrictive policies that still exist towards Indigenous people, and those are things that we're trying to undo. And it's small actions like this that AARCS is now doing that really sets a mode and a tempo in creating those healthy relationships. It's not about about building bridges between cultures. As the late Richard Walkmees once wrote, we're not here to build bridges because they will rust and collapse. We're here to fill in the gaps. And I take that next step further. In order to fill the gaps is to stop looking at the differences between us, but to look at the commonalities and the parallels between all cultures. Because each of you come from your own cultural grouping of people. And many people have heard me speak that there are no... How many people here are white people, by the way? Okay, so I'm going to challenge you now. Show me how you're white. I look at this is white. If you can match that, I'll believe you. But if you come from a cultural grouping, what is your cultural roots?
From Germany.
Okay, so you start looking at Germany, and we have to look at that too, because there's different cultural groupings of Germans. But that German culture, so you're a woman from the German culture. It does not tell me you're white. And that's true of every one of you. It's only when you know and understand your cultural backgrounds that you stop looking at differences. We have to get away from the mindset there are such things as white, black, red, and yellow people. Our first and true identity is that we're all human beings first. knowing and understanding our cultural backgrounds gives you that strong sense of belonging. And in every culture, animals have been a crucial part of the existence of the human being. Everything from birds, cats, dogs, fish, reptiles have been a part of human beings throughout our histories. You know, we know that there are some dogs that end up here from First Nation Reserve, but I don't think anybody here has ever been able to say that this isn't an Indigenous dog, or a white dog, or a black dog, or a yellow dog. We don't see them that way. Then why cannot we see each other in the same light? We are human beings. The animals, such as dogs and cats, don't have that discriminatory factor within them. What they connect to is to the heart of the person who now cares for them, to keep them safe. That's the same relationship our people had in the past with the dogs during the dog years. And that was very important to us. And we still see that today. A lot of our elderly people still keep dogs, still care for them. And so they may not be able to pull a travel anymore, but they can certainly warn us. And they can also keep us company. They can comfort us in times of need. Animals have that extrasensory power to know when a person is not doing well. These are things that we connect to. So I really appreciate what ARC is doing with the animals, putting your hard work into it. But I will change that for you. It's not hard work. It's a lot of what I do. I don't call it hard work. It's heart work. Okay, and when you do hard work, there's no burnout. You don't get tired of what you do. And that's really important for all people. Yeah, I'm the Indigenous Resource Coordinator for Health Services. Been doing that for the last 20 years there, working with young people and families. I'm also the Elden residents for St. Mary's University, as well as Alberta College of Art and Design, Elder Advisor with Bow Valley and Mount Royal. I'm also the chairperson of the Wisdom Council of Alberta Health Services. So I just come back from a 3-day meeting there and looking at what's happening within the health domain across Canada and looking at everything we possibly can look at. And it was coincidental that they were talking about animal life. So we're venturing in different areas there. I'm also sitting on the board of a line which takes care of Children's Services Division. I'm also the president of the board for Four Directions Foster Parent Association, which I was one of the founding members back in 1992. I am a grandfather of 20, 21st one on the way in the first week of October. I'm a great-grandfather of 6. The 7th one is also due in the first week of October. And ironically, it's my son and his wife who are expecting our 21st grandchild. It's his daughter who's bringing in our 7th great-grandchild. So I told him I want them to be born the same day because in the future it'll be more cost-effective. So when you look at all who we are, the analogy when I look at when you say we are part of the land and why animals are so important to all people is that if you look at who you are, we're created in the image of our Creator, and it's not about the physical body. It's about that spirit within. Whether it's in a religious group or a spiritual grouping, at some point in time, we refer to God or Creator as a great spirit. And it's a piece of great spirit that exists within all of us. It has no color, it carries no gender. It's a spirit. The body is a gift from Mother Earth, and it will go back to her. The hair on your head represents sweetgrass that grows on the prairies. Your skeleton, your bones represent the mountains, rocks, like the ones used in ceremonies like a sweat lodge. Your arteries, veins, and vessels, your rivers, streams, and creeks. Your heart will pump and pulsate like the core of a mother does. Your breath is the wind. Your tears are the waters upon the earth, and they're very healing when you allow them to flow without hindrance. In the shade of shell you carries like a mother. White and gold sands, brown black souls. Just 4 different shades of brown. And when you can embed that in here, then can we fill in those gaps and we can walk evenly with each other. We have a lot to share with each other and to give. We have a lot of knowledge between all people. Our teaching is that we use the best of all 4 worlds, the white world, the black world, the yellow and the red world. It does not talk about the people though. But within those 4 worlds exists the human beings, and it's those medicines and knowledge that we need to use and utilize to maintain the well-being of a human being and all other living things and matter. And we look at that from a level of conservation of the land, ecology. We look at everything that we see. I'll be going to a Sundance. I was supposed to be moving down there today, but due to the rain, we're going to hold off a day, but we're moving down there tomorrow. And really, it's getting away from everything else and going into our ceremonies. Our Sundances are our New Year's celebration, when everything is alive and vibrant. We find it ludicrous that New Year's should be in the dead of winter when most of life is sleeping. Okay. It's a time of survival. So that's what we're looking at. And so animals become important even in ceremonies. They become critical to that. Buffalo being one of them. But there's also the horses that pop into that. So it's not discriminating at any level. And we have people who come from around the world who have now become included and participating in the Sundances. It's not that we're selling off our cultures, but we're creating a relationship with inclusion. That they are human beings seeking a way to get to a place of well-being. And our connection to animals, such as dogs, become a part of that. There are ceremonies with dogs, and a lot of that happens more in South Dakota than it does up here with the Lakota people. But there are ceremonies that talk about the dogs. So these are things that most people don't know, so it's untold stories. If you look at what we call Mohkinsis, Calgary, but it's actually about the elbow, where the bow and the elbow come together. But if you were to close your eyes and just think for a moment that the only forested area in this whole area here prior to contact or prior to major settlements was only along the riverbeds. Everything else was open prairie. Imagining that at one time that's all you saw here was over 30 million buffalo migrating back and forth. And that has not been that long ago. It's less than 200 years ago that was like that. After all, Calgary was very, very young at those point in times. So I'm going to do my blessing in Blackfoot for all of you, for the animals, the cats, the dogs, that we do that, as well as our all living matter and all people. I are not being out those. I go kamikis, haps of top sorts. Ook dat pens kat smoke on kistiko ikag spatio pack. Okay, Kimat, Kuku, 6 can happen, cut smoke out. I know Kagtos at Spatro, Kags that Portuguese Kag, and if you post 6 mitax, I can go to its Katio. Work bad, but we thought that Portuguese could sip of water. Okay, you got scraps of Mapquag and Kistiko, Kag, so say kicks up my 6 months at the poppies. Because that bad no command Spatro, Pag, skate him up some potato pits and Gistan Kaskunatap, Saki, can stop bad no keeping now. Can stop and cut some more go, Kaka, Kimmat, Takina. Oh, can you call this bad real pug? No bait, what you put because system up, see poka or Kakum what bill, Kaki. Can you take that to see since Mago, see he can sim cinch, Kaki. Can you start system because bad real pug, Kimmat, as oh, can I go bad when I catch a similar coin, Makupi, because sticky, exactly. Ook in het spijtbeeld pak een man uit de uit de pima genoeg peper ik ben ook iets kooi kort op je zorg kan het op je kijk ik zou zien het sapot doen ook in de kook spijtbeeld pak nog kan je ook doen naar knip Siskospia Kistikoi, Agnapio Kipoiskos, and Gamutan, Kake Semipata. Blessings are just sent out to your families that no illnesses or any ill-fated tragedies will come in their direction, that they're safe, that when you all enter back your homes in a safe way, that you'll be able to meet your relatives, your loved ones. After all, a lifetime's still just a one-day event. That's how we measure it, and our language speaks in that fashion. Yesterday does not exist anymore, it's all but memory. And no, tomorrow is never guaranteed for any one of us. And that includes families, friends, and relatives. It also identifies that every human being is uniquely one of a kind and cannot be replaced from the physical world. It's learning how to appreciate the people around you. You don't always have to like what they choose to do, but appreciate they still walk with you. But maybe your journey in life will influence them to make better choices for today. After all, we cannot undo what's been done, but we can sure forge a better journey into the future. So thank you.